David, and I don't say this in an ill-spirited way at all. Just getting to the truth of it, you are like dripping with the viscosity of sanctimony as you ask this question.
No,
to
that's an ad
be able to
hominem, Vivek.
caricature.
That's
It's not
unfair.
an
I
ad
think you
hominem.
don't
I'm
want to
saying
answer the
I'm
question.
saying-
That's
no,
to
I'm
attack
saying
me.
that
It's an
there's-
obvious
there's-
question. If there's
It's
a
not an obvious
machine and a
question. I'm saying that there's a
managerial
machine.
class,
It's a machine.
someone
It's a
must be involved. Couple quick things, hopefully, in the last few minutes we have. You mentioned at the end of the debate last week that you don't think Joe Biden ultimately will be the nominee. And you mentioned Michelle Obama as someone that may be put up there by Democrats. She has said definitively she is not going to run for president. Not like maybe, not I haven't thought about it, just I'm not running for president. Do you not believe that? Do you know anything we don't?
What is up, everyone? Today we've got Vivek Ramaswamy absolutely dismantling David Pakman on his own show. Pakman tries his usual smug attacks, tossing loaded questions and fishing for sound bites. But Vivek is having none of it. He flips the narrative and exposes the deep flaws in the Democratic machine. And he even ropes in the Republican establishment while he's at it. This is a masterclass in how to handle a hostile interviewer. Let's get into it.
No, I mean, I believe that she doesn't want to run for president. I think that much is clear. I'm not sure that it's her choice, and I'm not sure that it's Biden's choice. I mean, really, I think that there's a managerial machine
Who's
that
in that?
decides who's going to be churned out. It's not one person, it's a system. And I think it goes back to the way the government's run. I think the people who we elect to run the government are not the ones running the government. I don't think Joe Biden is really making most of the policy decisions that come out of the executive branch of the government. I really don't.
But give an
I think
example of someone who's making the decisions. I know you can't, it's not one person, but there must be
it's
a
not
group.
one person. Well, I'm resisting the premise, David. It is a machine. That is the Leviathan. I mean,
Who runs the
this
machine?
is the apparatus. It's the wrong frame. That's the whole point. David,
Who
is
built
that-
the machine?
Well, I think it's been built over the years from decades of purposeful loss of accountability.
Exactly. This didn't happen overnight. This machine was built piece by piece as politicians passed the buck and dodged accountability. Think about it. Congress offloads power to federal agencies. Those agencies become untouchable, and suddenly we've got unelected bureaucrats making decisions that affect every aspect of our lives. It's like handing the keys to your house to a bunch of strangers and then wondering why they've moved in permanently. And don't forget, both parties are guilty of this. Even though I lean more right, Republicans still talk a big game about cutting bureaucracy, but when push comes to shove, they're just as complicit as well.
I think it was built by people who were elected into office that did not want to actually bear the accountability for their actions, and so quietly devolved power, first from Congress to three-letter agencies, from three-letter agencies to a managerial class that pervades the public and private sector alike. You don't have to take it from what you will see as a crazy Republican candidate, far right or whatever you want to label me on your show. Michael Lind has written about this in a lucid manner. I think that there's a horizontal managerial class that pervades the public, private, and intermediate sectors in the United States that's wielding the decisions.
I just think it would
most
put
decisions
a lot
that
of
matter.
texture to it if you were able to say, Hillary's
Susan
in the
Rice,
class,
you want
or
me to talk about Susan Rice. I mean, you can give examples of the people
Nancy
who have
Pelosi's
been,
husband, or Ellen DeGeneres, or
But that's not my view, and I understand the way the game is played. To then,
It's not a game. I'm just curious
but
who it is.
But it's fine. I understand it. I'm having fun with it.
No,
Is
but
that-
it's
no,
not
but
a
David,
game.
I
It's,
understand it.
there
You're-
must be
you're
some
sort of,
people.
David, and I don't say this in an ill-spirited way at all. Just getting to the truth of it, you are like dripping with the viscosity of sanctimony as you ask this question.
No, viscosity of sanctimony. What a phrase. Vivek just potentially called David out for being the embodiment of smugness. And let's face it, this is David M.O. He wraps his questions in the holier-than-thou tone, acting like he's the arbiter of truth. The best part, Vivek doesn't tiptoe around it. He calls it out head on. Imagine being Pakman here, trying to keep your composure after getting roasted with SAT level vocabulary. But let's be real, this kind of sanctimony is exactly what makes people distrust media types like Pakman. They don't seek truth, they push narratives, and Vivek just popped that balloon.
That's an ad hominem, Vivek. That's unfair. I think you don't want to answer the question. That's to attack me. It's an obvious question. If there's a machine and a managerial class, someone must be involved. There must be someone.
That's your assertion, David. And I think that my whole premise is that I think this is true in both parties, but it's particularly true in the modern Democratic Party. I don't think Joe Biden has a choice in the matter of whether he's the nominee or not.
You
I
can
think that
keep
there's a
repeating that, and
range
you
of
can do ad
actors
hominems,
in
but
the
you're not
Democratic
really
Party.
answering.
David, and for you to sort of now claim victim and claim ad hominem.
No, I'm not a
talking about
victim.
particular
I'm fine.
game
I'm a
that
big
you're
boy.
playing,
I'm a big boy.
actually. You're
I'm a big
well,
boy.
Of course you are, and so I'm treating you like one.
Yeah.
And so I think the viscosity of the questioning is basically resisting the premise of the core point that I'm sharing with you, which is that it is not one puppet master that's an individual.
I agree.
It is a managerial machine that in the Democratic Party and the Democratic establishment, and I think it exists in the Republican establishment too, is designed to crush the will of everyday citizens and to decide that this is who will be served. Up to you to digest. You're force-fed who you get. I think this is why the Biden documents case. Why don't you hear much about that right now? Why don't you, the open-ended investigation of Hunter Biden?
The Hunter Biden investigation, the ace up the Democratic machine's sleeve. Let's be real, this isn't about justice, it's about leverage. When they need to push Joe out of the way, suddenly the investigation will heat up again. And when they need to protect him, it'll vanish from the headlines. It's like they're holding a sword over his head, ready to drop it the moment he steps out of line. And yet, the media pretends this is all just routine. Are we supposed to believe this is normal? Like, come on, this is straight out of the political mafia playbook.
I think these are levers that if Joe Biden tries to act like an agent and say, when their time of deciding that he's not the nominee, well, I think that's when you're going to see those investigations then pick up steam to say that, well, you're not getting out of the way. We're going to get you out of the way. I think that is the Leviathan. It is not an individual. It's not individual action. It is collective
But I'm not
action.
claiming it's an
That's the
individual.
premise.
I mean, listen, I think ultimately the audience can evaluate. When I say give me anyone, and you say my questions are when you say my questions are viscous,
one of hundreds of people, the Susan Rices of the world, sure, fit in
Okay.
that machine, but it's not one puppet master.
people
behind
like
the scene.
Susan Rice.
Yes,
People like
exactly.
Susan Rice.
People of that
All right,
class, absolutely.
that's an answer. That could have been the first thing. I mean, I don't know why my questions are viscous.
But I've played this game enough to know to say that, oh, well, Vivek thinks Susan Rice is the puppet master behind the
No,
scenes.
I'm not
It's
saying
one
that.
person.
I
It's
have
part of the
no
machine.
interest in saying that you said that. I just wanted to feel. I just was like, what sorts of people are you
Well, there you
thinking
got
about?
an answer. There you go.
Whatever games others might play, I'm certainly not playing with you. I'm just curious who you're referring to, and people can judge it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people have an innate understanding that the people who are the politicians pretending to make those decisions, they're not really the ones making those decisions today. And I think the more clearly we see that, the more clearly we understand the work we have cut out ahead of us to reform a broken system. I'll give you other examples too while we're at it. See, now that you sort of clarified where you are on which premise you're asking about, I think the donor class is part of this as well.
I'll be honest, both parties are neck deep in this swamp of mega donors and special interests. Democrats love to preach about being the party of the people, but let's not forget their $50,000 a plate fundraisers in places like Greenwich, Connecticut. Meanwhile, Republicans also cozy up to their own set of billionaires. It's the same game, different jerseys. This isn't about ideology, it's about money and power. They all use our tax dollars to prop up their system, and we're footing the bill for a political class that only serves itself. It's disgusting, but it's reality.
I think there's a lot of people who, in the Democratic Party, you're told that the Democratic Party stands for one person, one vote.
Right.
Well, I don't think so. Not so clearly. I think that the people who are writing multi-million-dollar checks, even though they say you can only give $3,300 to Joe Biden,
right?
Why is he flying to Greenwich, Connecticut for $25,000 or $50,000 a plate dinners?
And this applies to Harlan Crow and the Koch brothers too, right?
I think it pervades both parties.
Okay, just making sure.
I've been as critical about this in the Republic, but you asked a question about the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
I'm against the influence of mega money in politics, period. But
I'm with
this
you.
is when you get to the reality of what that machine looks like. These are inputs into that machine. People who have lived in high levels, but not politically accountable levels of the administrative state that still have, the dirty secrets that they're able to use as levers for the people who actually are in power, to the mega donor class that provides the mother's milk that is modern politics in both parties. Yes, I think that is all part of the machine that decides who and who isn't part of eligible to wield power.
So what's the takeaway here? Vivek isn't just calling out David Pakman, he's pulling back the curtain on the entire system. The political machine isn't about serving the people, it's about maintaining power and control, and both parties are guilty. David tried to box Vivek in some crazy conspiracy theory narrative, but Vivek held his ground and made his point crystal clear. The system is broken, and it's up to us to demand accountability. What do you think? Can this Leviathan ever be reformed, or are we stuck with the same swamp forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more breakdowns like this. Appreciate you for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.